After spending about 8 years studying seal behavior out in the wonderful wilds, I settled down and came to work at TR and immediately got involved with special education data at the state level, and I have been here for over 20 years working on various projects.
Welcome to Within These Halls, a series of interviews exploring the people and the work of the Research Institute at Western Oregon University. Today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Pattie Johnson, Director of TRI's Technology and Information Management System. So how does a person go from studying seal behavior to a passion for being sure that students in special education get their best chance for success? I was curious.
That was what my husband and I did for 3 years in Alaska and 5 years in Hawaii. We studied seal behavior, and it allowed us to do incredibly fantastic things and be in places that most people don't ever get to go to. And we finally decided if we wanted to have our kids and settle down, we needed to find other kinds of work. But we loved every minute that we spent. And we were on remote islands as the only people for 6 to 9 months a year. So it was kind of heavenly. My personal interests have always focused on child welfare issues. I served as a court-appointed special advocate, or a CASA, for over 18 years. And during that time, I was the only consistent individual who worked for the health and safety of the kids in my care from infancy through when they left high school. And so I learned about the transition of kids from school to after-school life with 4 kids that I followed as part of my CASA experience.
Pattie Johnson took that personal interest into her work at TRI.
I started with helping parents document their baby's development using questionnaires to help them recognize when to bring concerns to the attention of their doctors or start conversations with other health providers. This has continued to be an integral part of the early identification of children who may be at risk of delays that might be served through some sort of very early intervention, so it was nice to be at the start of that project and watch it develop. I moved on to interviewing special education teachers about their path to the special education field and the factors that would affect their decisions to remain in the field. And that was an eye-opening experience to interview these people 2 years in a row. My next shift in focus was built on improving the process of incorporating database decision-making into school districts. And I really did not go into this project realizing how it would become sort of the focus of what I love and what I do most. At that time, it was early 2000s, districts were monitored once every few years on a number of measures relevant to special education services for students. And it might be 4 or 5 years between visits from this team. It was very labor-intensive for both the district and for the state to have these teams go out and meet with a team of district people. The state was awarded a federal grant to design and build something better, and I was involved in that because I had long expressed the frustration with the system that was available at that time. So the state decided to do an annual review process for every district rather than the rotating schedule. The purpose was to give the districts the information back that they would use to inform their decisions in a timely fashion. Oregon, when they designed the system originally under my leadership, decided that the amount of effort that would be required to do the federal reporting should also give the district something back. And so rather than building it like other states when it became required to just get the minimum information, Oregon decided to build an online system that districts could use as they were collecting the data and would give them enough information about the outcomes of their students to change the programs appropriately to respond to what they learned. About 10 years ago, another opportunity became available to develop a data and reporting system for the measuring what students accomplished the year after they left special education services. And I applied for a grant to get those funds. If a district is successful at providing the services that students need to be successful after they leave school, we need to be able to measure that. And if you can talk to the students 1 year after they leave and ask them what worked and what didn't work, do you have a job? Are you working for minimum wage? Are you working at least half-time? Have you had that job for at least 3 months out of the 12 months since you've been at school? Or ask them about if they've gone on to further schooling, if they've attended a 2 or 4 year college, if they have gone into a training program like the Job Corps, if they've gone to other kinds of schooling or whatever, and have they completed a full semester. Those are the basic questions that we need to fill out federal compliance for the state. And the choice of having the teachers make these interviews has meant that districts come back to us and say, I learned so much. It was so nice because the student dropped out, but because I called them and asked these questions, they recognized that there were still things they could get from school and they still had eligibility left, and so they came back. Because they know what they want now. Mm-hmm. One of the questions that we think is most valuable is we ask at the end, what would you like to tell the school? What could they have done better? What feedback do you want to give them? One of the neatest pieces of this for me when we first started was to report a district's results back to a team that included an administrator. And as we mentioned that, the responses of the students indicated that learning to write checks wasn't as important to them as it would have been to learn safety around using ATMs. And we watched the special ed director open his curriculum book and change it at that immediate time. It shows the impact of listening to what those students say and using it to change their programs. We also ask what they do for recreation 1 year out. And that was added to our survey because a school district at the very beginning chose to interview their special education students and their general education students 1 year out, plus 2 years out, plus 3 years out. And they gave us an incredible amount of information. And one of the primary things that was learned from this district that did all of those interviews, they asked a quality of life question along with it. And the biggest difference 2 and 3 years out between their special education population and the general education population was their access to recreation. Those that knew how to go to a gym were a lot happier with their life than those that stayed home and played computer games all day long or watched movies. So we've continued to include that question and encourage districts to look at it to see what they can learn by how involved those kids are once they're out of school. None of this could have been done alone, so it takes a lot of people to do this, and that's probably what I have enjoyed, is being able to surround myself by very high qualified people that are good at what they do and make me look good, because we work together to come up with a good product.
So that's how it happened. How Pattie Johnson went from studying seal behavior in Alaska and Hawaii to helping create data collection systems that support thousands of students across Oregon. This has been Within These Halls, a production of the Research Institute at Western Oregon University. For this production, sound effects, bay and seal sounds were provided by Lolita Peridurabo. Music provided by royalty-free music, Getty Images. For more information about the Research Institute, go to triwou.org.